The rhetoric, it keeps ramping up, the polarization more pronounced, the demonization of the other side reaching frightening levels. This madness is unsustainable.
Yeah, Covey said the same thing I said. Why, if people are saying both sides need to take the temperature down, show me a violent comment one top Democratic official has said in 2025. I mean, so the other thing I just had to save this one for you, because just starting from him, inciting the violence on January 6th and then pardoning all the violent insurrectionists that did his bidding. Covey said, notice how Brazil's Supreme Court convicted their former president, Bolsonaro, for trying to overturn his election loss instead of saying he had immunity for acts committed while in office. I mean, there's a lot of factors for how we got where we are, aren't there?
Yeah, we're a government adrift, particularly when a majority of the Supreme Court can read the Constitution, which requires a president to take care that the laws of the nation be faithfully executed. And what they conclude based on that language is a president can violate our nation's laws and victimize the American people with complete immunity against prosecution. He gets carte blanche to do it. That, I'm sorry, I take no glee in saying the Supreme Court is no longer legitimate, but that is the only conclusion I can reach when they rule contrary to the express terms of the Constitution, and they give Donald Trump permission, their stamp of approval, to victimize the American people with impunity and immunity. I mean, I don't know how we right the American ship.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Chris saying, listen, I don't feel like I get to complain. I'm tired, I'm worn out, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, because you know what? I'm not marching across a bridge to try to protect and preserve my own civil rights and getting the crap knocked out of me with nightsticks. But I think we have to give voice to the way everybody's feeling right now, which is depressed and desperate and anxious and anxiety ridden. But that doesn't mean we stop fighting.
Yeah,
exactly.
Thank you for that, Glenn. Can I just say, too, I totally understand you're not wanting to be part of mainstream media anymore, and, the great work you're doing, and so many people are doing independently on your Substack and elsewhere. Because Mike Nellis, who we had on yesterday, who I know you know, said the Wall Street Journal just retracted its report that the shooter's ammo was engraved with transgender and anti-fascist ideology. It smelled like BS from the beginning, and every conservative who ran with it should be shamed into obscurity. Well, this is the problem. We got into a place where we don't trust the FBI, the mainstream media reporting. I mean, and I gave the governor of Utah credit, because at least he said there are Russian and Chinese bots actively pushing disinformation and trying to incite violence, right?
Yeah, and Steph, in mainstream media, they seem determined to get out in front of responsible reporting so they can get their clicks and they can get eyeballs on the screen. At least some of us in independent media are trying to combat that. Yes, we want to draw attention to our work as well because we think it's good, reliable work. But and I'm an old journalism guy. I was a journalism major undergrad, and I love the study and the practice of journalism. But when I saw that about what was etched on the cartridge casings, I said, there's no way in heck I'm reposting this because it kind of stinks. It smells like foreign propaganda designed to continue to inflame the American people against one another. And, listen, I don't think I am unique in that, but I think that's one of the reasons people are gravitating toward independent media. You need to be comfortable and confident that the folks you're getting information, news, legal analysis, political analysis from are not all about, corporate sponsorship and are not about what the editors say they can and can't say. This is straight from the heart, and sometimes we're wrong, but I think most of us try to be careful.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you care to comment, but I've been talking about just where we are, that the supposedly quote-unquote liberal network, MSNBC, just fired Republican Matt Dowd for making a comment that this is before we knew Charlie Kirk had passed. He was asked about the environment of violence. He in no way was blaming Charlie Kirk for what happened to him. He was asked about the general climate, which Charlie Kirk was a part of, and so... And meanwhile, you've got Jesse Waters and others on Fox News actively calling for violence. They don't get fired. They're actively calling for civil war. I mean, anyway, your thoughts.
And Fox had to pay out $750 million for lying to the American people about an American presidential election.
Right.
So I think we know what Fox is about, and the fact that people are still, loyal to the Fox brand tells me that, they are willing to ignore objective facts that show Fox is not a good faith broker of the facts and the truth. And I don't know how we break that cycle.
Because of what they cover,
we penetrate that bubble.
Because of what they cover and don't cover, Glenn, you can understand how their audience thinks all liberals are bloodthirsty killers, because that's all they cover. They don't cover. I mean, I talked to someone yesterday in person, didn't know all this history of right-wing violence and Trump incited violence, just was horrified about the Charlie Kirk thing, as we all are. But it just, that's part of it. I mean, and let me just save one last one for you. The problem is not just the media, it's the now our FBI. Beckman said, it's beyond obscene. The FBI director keeps tweeting falsehoods about the killing of Charlie Kirk, only to backtrack repeatedly. This is coming from the top. Trump immediately blamed the shooting on the radical left without any actual idea who committed the heinous act or why. Rather than call for peace and unity, they're giving a real-time lesson in how you perpetuate a culture of violence. So I'm actually afraid what we're going to hear, what the rhetoric's going to be, whenever this happens today.
I'm afraid too, and we have to brace for it. And the one thing we can't do is cause it to silence our voices or cause us to decline to go to rallies and speak out. And this is a pet peeve of mine. When I heard Donald Trump talking about the death penalty, and this is some inside DOJ baseball stuff, we have strict guidelines that say you never, ever, ever, in a potentially death-eligible case where death may be on the table for the offense that was committed, you never discuss the death penalty. Not before an attorney general has made the decision and there's been a public announcement in open court that the United States will pursue the death penalty. You never say it. Yeah. And the fact that, before this guy is even interrogated, Trump is talking about the death penalty tells you everything you need to know about who Donald Trump is and what Donald Trump is all about, and that is violence and division.
Do you think it's important for people to see how he died? I think that's to see the horrific. Did you see it?
I didn't watch. I didn't want to watch. I heard about it.
You don't want to watch.
I would have never made a good doctor. Let me put it that way. Yeah. I heard enough. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to remember Charlie that way. But it's horrific, is what I hear. Just horrific. I hear that nobody can. I know friends that were there, and they told me. They said what we witnessed. The physical emotion of being there, or watching it on television.